Hello, Aquarius, and welcome to your August 2025 tarot card reading. For those of you who are new here, my name is Jane. Welcome to the channel. Now, I already got started on this reading and pulled out all these cards, and then unfortunately I got a phone call and got interrupted, so I just wanted to keep these cards out though because these were the ones that organically came out for you, Aquarius. So we're going to start with these. So we have the Ace of Wands, the Emperor, Wheel of Fortune, Knight of Cups, and the Four of Cups. Now, to me, when I look at this, this feels incredibly optimistic. Now, you may or may not feel that necessarily, but it looks like August kind of begins with a little bit of a bang for you guys. So, starting with the Ace of Wands, it feels like, now I say it starts off with a bang, and yet this still feels kind of subtle to me. Okay, it feels like an impulse or just kind of this feeling of like, I just know I need to go in that direction, or I know I need to do this, or I know I need to do that. And it's just kind of a gently pulling in a specific direction. It can come through with desire. It can come through with a sense of motivation or inspiration. And this may not really be all that defined yet. It's like you can't always put words to it. You can't always understand it. You can't always wrap your head around it. But yet there's still this pulling that happens. And I think Aquarius is really taking this in stride. I don't know that you're sitting there asking a lot of questions, demanding to have some sense of control. I think Aquarius, you're in a position now where you really just have to flow. And I think it's pretty obvious like where this is calling you, because when we have the Emperor, it's not like, I mean, he's pretty sure-footed. So you may not really understand why this is happening now or why things are unfolding the way they are. But this pulling is probably the most clear part of what you're going through. Pulling you into a new phase, into a new direction, into a new whatever. Now, a large part of this has to do with this Uranus-Pluto trine, right? Uranus, your ruling planet in modern astrology, is in a trine with Pluto, which is in your sign right now. Plus, we start August off still with Mercury in retrograde across from you. So there's some kind of like stirring or turning, kind of turning point that's going on. But again, I think you're very sure-footed with things. And it's like, okay, I know that I'm meant to go in this direction. I may not understand it, but I know I'm meant to go in this direction. And I know that things are changing. And it's like a very obvious, palpable change that you can't fight against, you can't ignore, you can't deny. And I think that you're proceeding with a lot of courage. Now, there could be some areas where you feel like you can't quite let go yet. And I don't know that this reading is really about letting go. I mean, we'll see what the rest of the cards have to say when we pull out the remaining 5 cards. But I don't know that this is really about letting go so much as it is like just sort of bringing in the new and letting the new take root. Because as the new starts to take root, the old will naturally fade out. Okay? Now we may have a little bit more in the realm of elimination next month. As we enter Virgo season, we're going to start having eclipses and things like that kind of take place. So in Virgo season, there's likely going to be a lot more, especially with that new moon in Virgo, there's going to be a lot more about release and all of that. But at the beginning part of August, I just don't know that that's going to be the case for you. It's more focus on the future, focus on what's coming next, focus on what's going right, focus on possibility. Now, there may still be things on hold, okay? I'm not really seeing speed here. Because with that Wheel of Fortune, I think sometimes the Wheel of Fortune, I always call it my breadcrumb energy. It's still moving upwards. There's still progress and development. There's still an upward swing. but it's never like a bolt of lightning unless we get the Tower, which may change my tune if we do. But if we don't get the Tower, then this is probably going to be slow development. And it may be over the course of several months. Okay, so this may not be something that happens within the next 2 months. It might be the next 6 months or even the year, right? But there's this upward swing, but it's one step at a time. So this sure-footedness that you have with the Emperor, which says, I feel strong in this moment and I feel strong in what I need to do next. And so that's all I'm going to focus on. That's what I'm going to do. And the pulling, again, is undeniable. The motivation, the inspiration is there. And it's probably, for many of you, inspiration to get out of a sticky spot, to make more money, to find a new relationship, to get out of your comfort zone a little bit and branch off and do something that's new and more exciting. And, you'll get there. The universe is saying, Aquarius, you're on the right track. Just follow this impulse. Follow this instinct. Because this impulse does not feel haphazard. It does not feel egoic, right? It does not feel like a fear of missing out. That's not what this impulse is. This is a spiritual impulse. And this is what happens when the sun is in Leo. When the sun is in rulership, the ambitions of the soul become extremely clear. And right now, I think that your ambitions are clear. So you don't have to know the whole story, but you have to know what's next. And I think the Ace of Wands is saying you do know what's next. Now, whether you're pushing against it or resisting it, that's a different story. You don't have to resist it. But if you do, it makes it harder. But if you don't, you can really just go with it and you can make wonderful things happen. And I see that with the Knight of Cups. Whenever the Knight of Cups comes out, it feels a lot like a meandering. It feels optimistic, full of belief and a lot of faith. I think when we have the Wheel of Fortune and the Knight of Cups, especially together, right next to each other, it does really speak to faith. And it says that it's really faith and trust that pushes everything along. Okay? If we get into a state of desperation, like even sometimes I think when we pray or we ask or we try to manifest things and we try to set intentions and all that, sometimes it feels so full of effort. And it actually is riddled with a sense of distrust, right? Because it's like, please, can I have this? Please, can I get this? Please, can this work out? And it doesn't really leave room for the divine to work its miracles. Because it says, well, if that's what you want, then you go make it happen. The universe has different ideas. It's going to hold back. It's going to hold back on delivering what you need to get you to where you want to be. If you want to take the reins, fine. But you don't have to be taking the reins right now, at least not in the big scheme of everything. You have to take the reins in the small things, especially with all this sixth house activation, like your habits, the way you treat yourself, your boundaries, the way you're healing, your nutrition, your health, the way you care about your physical body, the way you care about your living environment, the way you structure your daily life. That's all things that you have control over, right? You don't need divine intervention for that. That's all a matter of conscious choice. But when it comes to the big stuff, we need to release and let go and let the universe work its magic. Because I actually think there's a lot of magic in this reading for you, Aquarius, as long as you allow it. Okay, but again, that Emperor, we want to lean into his sure-footedness, not his sense of control. Because when we feel like we want to start gaining control, that's when the distrust kicks in. And that's when the universe says, fine, if you want to handle it, I'll let you handle it. And then it will be longer, it will be harder, and all of that. Okay, but I don't think we want to make our lives harder right now. So to be more connected with the current that's guiding you right now, kind of like a backwind, it's going to make your life so much easier. And change can be implemented so much easier as well. You are going to have to be a bit, I like to use the word discriminating here with the Four of Cups, right? Where it really speaks to your choosiness, pickiness, right? Because there's cups being offered But if these cups don't align with the impulse and the ambition that's coming through with the Ace of Wands, then you're going to have to say no to a lot. And I think this really starts to kick in probably a little bit more toward the end of the month, but it sounds like it's going to be happening probably in the middle as well, maybe around the time Mercury stations direct on the 11th, where you're going to have to be a bit more discerning with things. You're going to have to really think things through and delineate whether something makes sense or not. Because I think there's going to be a lot of things that don't make sense. I think they may look shiny. They may kind of have a little sex appeal. They're kind of like, ooh, that's interesting. But when you really sit with it in your gut, you're like, it's not right. It's not the cup for me. It's not really me following my heart. These may be pathways that kind of lean into your desire to try to control the outcome. The thing with the Four of Cups, though, is there's probably no single cup that screams like, yes, this is for me. Yes, this is my path. They don't speak to your heart. That's one thing I like about this card. Like, he's not touching a cup, but here in the Knight of Cups, he is holding his cup, which means you have to hold your heart. You have to hold space for your heart and the desires and the ambitions of your heart. And these cannot be given to you from the outside. Some people may try to tell you what you want. They may try to tell you what is best. They may try to convince you that this route is going to exactly get you what you want. But you know that is not the case. That process that maybe works for them may not work for you. And I don't think it will. I don't think it will because it's not genuine to you. All right, and I think there's a need for Aquarius to be highly, highly authentic right now and to own that authenticity. And what I see here specifically is an untouchability, meaning you're not easily emotionally manipulated into ideas that aren't for you. Okay, so there's an untouchability here. And the more grounded and rooted you are in your own path, the less likely you are to be manipulated. Okay? A lot of masculine energy coming out. A lot of masculine. Okay. I think second half of August, probably after that Mercury stations direct in Leo, you have some very real decisions that you have to start making. Now, we also have Mars in Libra, which on one hand is great because it's ninth house, and there's a lot of expansion that happens in the ninth house. But Libra is weirdly a difficult archetype, and it's not really an archetype that we usually think of as being challenging because it's Venus. I think every sign has its challenged area, challenged stuff. In Libra, we have to remember, is associated with justice, and we literally got the Justice card. It is associated with things coming back into balance, which is not always a pretty process. In fact, it rarely is. It's harsh. Justice is neutral. It doesn't care about what you feel. It just says this is what's right. This is what is fair, period. And it speaks a lot to the natural law, the natural order. And by natural law, I mean like the law of correspondence, the law of vibration, the law of rhythm, the law of polarity. All right, these are like the Kabbalion things. So the pendulum swings, the pendulum starts swinging. I think you're going to have a reminder of that. So as much as this is so beautiful and there's guidance, I do think that you are going to hit a point where things have to adjusting based on the new actions that you're taking. Now, these adjustments may start small, but they are necessary. This may not ruin your life or anything, but they are so necessary. And I think we hit up against that point where we're like, we don't have a choice. Let's say you want to make more money. Let's say this is a money story, okay? You want to make more money. And you're feeling these impulses. Maybe you start a new business or you start a new product line or something with your existing business, whatever. So you do that. Well, if that's the case and you're starting something new, you can't keep running the business the old way. You can't keep living your life the old way. There's going to have to be concessions. There's going to have to be compromise. There's going to have to be adjustments. Sometimes those are really small, like how you schedule your day, how you pay your bills, whatever. Sometimes they're really, really big ones. Sometimes there are big risks that you have to take in order to make that happen. But things cannot stay the same. They cannot. And this is a card that reminds us of that. That coming into equilibrium is not about things coming into a perfect balance or into the way it used to be. It's once you acclimate to the new growth, what your new life is supposed to look like. And it becomes normalized. This is the process of normalizing after a period of growth. So it depends on how committed you are to the vision, as I see with the King of Wands. How committed are you to the vision? And I think that's going to be a very real question that you're going to ask yourself at some point in August. How committed are you to the dream? Because I think a lot of people get very comfortable just dreaming because they don't know where to start. They don't believe in themselves. They don't think it's really truly in their destiny to do something. But if it wasn't truly in your destiny, you wouldn't be feeling this impulse to grow. Keep in mind, this is not from ego. This is not from society telling you what you're supposed to want. And I think actually you're going to have a very clear indication of what belongs to you and what is trying to be pushed down your throat. Okay? And once you have that distinction, that's when these decisions become even that much more important, because you realize like not everyone gets it. Not everyone understands. And I think there is an element of you being on your own. There's an element of you being or flying solo. But the King of Wands is powerful. His vision is powerful. This is literally the Leo card. And the motto for Leo is I create. So it is high manifestation energy. And there is a sense of completion here. And the fact that we're getting all these kings and emperors tell me that Aquarius, you are in a completed form right now. Okay, when I say completed, I don't mean your whole life is done or anything like that. But I do mean you don't need to really heal anymore. You don't need to learn anymore. I mean, there's always going to be room for that, but that's not what you need right now. What you need are the tangible results. What you need is for things to start happening. And so this is you saying, all right, I accept where I am, and I believe that I can get to where I want to be with exactly everything I have now. I don't need more in order to do more. I have all the resources that I have. And what's interesting is that we don't have any coin cards, which tells me that it's not about resources. This is about will. This is about internal drive. It is about internal motivation. And whether you're going to utilize that or not. And I promise you there are Aquarians out there who will not do this. So if you're cross-watching, this means nothing. Because they're going to feel this, and then the period comes where they have to start making these adjustments, and they won't because they are too stubborn or too high and mighty or whatever. They think they know better. But for those Aquarians who are mature, who understand the process, who understand what is happening in their lives, this is going to be a beautiful time period. And even the King of Swords, which is an Aquarius card, it feels strategic, but it also feels cold. And I think with this, it feels cold as well. Four of Cups. You are going to have to be a bit brutal with how you make decisions, even justice. These are not warm and fuzzy energies, guys. It is not. It's not friendly. It's not making friends. It's a little confrontational. You're going to have to be okay with the fact that people aren't going to like you. People are going to be upset. Now, I'm not really seeing like challenged relationships here, but I am seeing you kind of being in a you for you type of place. Now, that can help other areas of life. It can help your relationships, right? Because when you do something, this is very much, on the airplane, put your own mask before you can help other people. You are helping people. But right now you have to help yourself so that those people can be lifted up. As we elevate and we grow, it makes it easier for others to do it as well. I see a leadership energy coming in for you, Aquarius. Okay? But it's not all warm and fuzzy. It's not all easy peasy. And I do think you're going to have a lot of success through August. I genuinely believe that. With the Three of Cups, it says, hey, there's something we're celebrating. We even have a card of victory and success. Literally victory and success. I'm seeing a lot of celebration at the end as we move into September. Now in September, we have a lot going on. We have Saturn retrograde re-entering Pisces. And we have Uranus, your planet, starting to retrograde in Gemini. So there's a lot of turnaround energy with things there. But I like the retrogrades because I often see that this is a period of acceleration. Okay, some people see it as a period of like stagnation or whatever, but it's more because those retrograde planets internalize their energy. And so a lot of the change happens internally. But when they start moving direct again, then we start to see that the internal changes start to reflect outside. So this is actually when magic is done, is during retrogrades. I see it for Jupiter retrograde, Uranus retrograde, Saturn especially. Okay, so you may still feel like a little blockage. It may not feel so smooth, but that's only because you've got the internal stuff that you're kind of dealing with. But you are going to have success. You are going to be able to celebrate something by the end of the month. Okay, so it really finishes on a very high note. And I think you'll be so proud of yourself and so proud of your team members and your family members and your spouses and whatever. And you kind of get to start off Virgo season on the right foot. Okay, now let's see what comes through with the animal spirit for Aquarius. Final cards here. We have the turtle. Slow and steady wins the race. And I love that because I just don't see there's any need for speed. Now, we may get a different tune as I pull out the clarifiers, but as it stands right now, I just really don't know that you have to feel any type of rush. And I think if you allow yourself to go at this natural pace, you will actually see far more progress than if you pushed, ironically. Oh, adjustments are required. This is the case for everybody because Mars is in Libra. We are all going through this, but some people have to make more severe adjustments than others. And Aquarius, I think you're one of those people. Okay, you have to make more severe, more obvious, bigger adjustments in your life because I think you're accommodating for a lot more. Okay? All right, we're going to pull out the clarifiers. Now, for those of you who are new, we're going to open up all these cards, okay? We're going to pull about 30 new cards, talk about them in the comprehensive. And if you want to join me for that reading, the link is in the description box in the comment thread down below, okay? All right, so we start with the Five of Wands, another Four of Cups, and a Seven of Cups. Eight of Cups, Two of Wands, I feel like that one, with another ace, beautiful. Now for the Wheel of Fortune, beautiful Ace of Coins, Empress. Wow, that is a beautiful set of cards that we just got there. I'm telling you, the more in tune with your intuition you can be, the better. Knight of Cups, we have the Judgment. Now there's the Tower and the Eight of Wands. indicating more movement. Seven of Swords, the Emperor, love that for you, and another Three of Cups. Not really liking that Three of Cups though. I like this one a lot more. Justice, we have the Magician, the Seven of Coins. Love that Seven of Coins, and the Page of Coins. Like that one. Eight of Coins, Nine of Wands, Eight of Coins, Two of Swords, Nine of Swords, another, see, I told you it's not warm and fuzzy. I told you it wasn't. Nine of Swords, Justice, King of Coins, lot of King energy. I'm telling you, Aquarius, you have to be in this strong masculine energy. Like, did we get any queens? There's three left. We may still get a queen, but another Six of Wands, an Ace of Swords, another king, one more since we got a repeat, and a High Priestess. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. There is just kings all over the place. You're a king this month, okay? We have to be in that strong masculine. All right, this is where we're going to pick up. If you want to join, you are more than welcome. Links down below. Thank you all so much. Have a great month, and I'll talk to you soon.